What if your glutes are not growing because you are training them like one muscle, when they actually perform several distinct biological roles? Welcome back to Workout with Rain, where fitness is explained through science, not myths. Today, we're breaking down the science of glutes, why squats alone are not enough, and how to train your glutes for strength, shape, and stability. Many lifters spend months under a heavy barbell, only to find their thighs getting larger while their glutes remain unchanged. Others spend hours on high-rep banded side steps that create an intense burn but lack the mechanical stimulus to change the muscle structure. Science shows the glutes are a dynamic, three-part movement system. You have the massive gluteus maximus, your primary engine for power. Tucked on the lateral side of the pelvis are the gluteus medius and minimus, which function as your body's stabilizers. Standard leg day routines often fail because they treat this complex system as a single aesthetic target, missing the specific angles and loads required to force each muscle to adapt. The gluteus maximus is the largest muscle in the human body, specifically evolved for powerful hip extension, the action of driving your hips forward or standing up from a chair. The back squat has a specific biomechanical limitation for glute development. The peak resistance occurs at the very bottom of the movement. At this point, your hips are deeply flexed, leaving the glute fibers stretched in their weakest anatomical position. To maximize growth, we need a movement that shifts the heaviest load to a position where the glute is actually strong. That movement is the barbell hip thrust. This chart shows data from a 2015 study that directly compared these two lifts at matched loads. The barbell hip thrust produced a mean activation of 229%, while the squat trailed significantly at 130%. The hip thrust dominates this data because the hardest part of the lift occurs at the top lockout. This aligns the peak resistance perfectly with the glute's natural power curve, allowing the muscle to work at its maximum capacity. Muscle growth is most effective when the hardest point of an exercise matches the strongest anatomical position of the muscle you are targeting. While the Maximus handles power, the gluteus medius and minimus manage pelvic stability, preventing your hips from collapsing during movement. Systematic reviews of EMG data show that single-leg movements, like step-ups, generate activation levels often exceeding 100%. When you balance on one leg, the lateral glutes must fire at their limit to keep your pelvis level against gravity. Single-leg stability work triggers the specific mechanical stimulus required to develop the outer structural shape and control of your hips. This evidence clashes with the popular trend of high-rep booty band workouts. There is a massive biological difference between metabolic stress, the burn, and actual mechanical tension. Muscles grow through mechanotransduction. Heavy mechanical signals convert to chemical signals, flowing through AKT and mTOR pathways to trigger protein synthesis. Light bands create metabolic fatigue, but fail to deliver a signal strong enough to reach these triggers. Without heavy tension, the cascade never begins. A burning sensation is frequently just a sign of local fatigue. Structural growth requires the body to respond to heavy, progressive tension. Translating this biomechanical data into a gym routine requires a three-part strategy for movement selection. First, you need a heavy hip extension exercise that emphasizes the peak contraction. Movements like hip thrusts or glute bridges ensure you are challenging the gluteus maximus where it is strongest. Second, include a deep stretch movement. Exercises like squats, lunges, or Romanian deadlifts challenge the glutes in a lengthened position and build foundational lower body strength. Finally, incorporate unilateral stability work. Step-ups or cable abductions force the medius and minimus to stabilize the pelvis, ensuring the lateral hips are fully developed. Your glutes are the engine of human movement. By moving past the booty band myths and applying these three scientific principles, you can finally force the biological adaptation you've been working for.